Don't worry about pushing your product. Find a way to connect with the patient and solve their problems. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD Podcast. We're talking about one of the dirty four-letter words in optometry. See what it is. We have the closing thought of the episode. I want you to be a graceful master. Listen to the episode. You'll figure out why. This is the Ultimate OD Podcast. Here we go. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the comments. I'm going to start off with one of the comments I got. We're working on the audio quality. I've heard it's high, it's low. And then me, the big giant dum-dum here, tends to get excited and move his hands and hit the microphone. Yes, that's annoying on your end. I get yelled at by my producer, aka my wife, who edits all these things and says that I constantly do this. I'm trying my best. I am getting better, but thank you for letting me know. I love feedback. This happened with my office meeting last week. I was talking to the staff, and I said, everyone says they love feedback, but what they like is compliments. Feedback can be negative in the sense that you are doing this wrong and you need to do it better. That being said, thank you for the feedback. I know I can be that I'm not the best and I want to get better. So if you have anything to send my way, please let me know. I welcome it. That actually might be a topic for next week's podcast. We'll see. We'll cover that later. Today, we are talking about kind of what I want to do at my next office meeting, and I'm going to lay it out for you what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So, we're optometrists, okay? If you want to be good at optometry, you have to be good with people. We are in a people industry, okay? If you don't like people, you're not going to be successful. I don't care how much you know, how intelligent you are, you have to be able to deal with people. I found that there's a couple of different kinds of doctors, right? There's doctors that love people, like being in a private practice setting and interacting with the patients. There's doctors that love optometry. They love the science behind it. They love the medical aspect. They like the clinical side of like studying stuff, right? Doing research, RCTs, stuff like that. That's their vibe. And there's the academia who like to read, study, publish, educate. 3 different tiers, right? 2 of those 3 tiers generally have to be good with people. The doctors working in clinical care with patients generally have to be good. Academia has to be good with people because they're dealing with students. You do find a couple of doctors that probably aren't the best teachers. We all had them along the way in optometry school where you're like, you probably just want to be doing your research and not talking to me right now. There's the disconnect, right? Where they have to teach this class, but they'd rather be reading a journal article or publishing a paper rather than educating. But that's the price they pay. And then the RCTs, stuff like that, they are straight by the book, machines, not dealing with people as much. Okay? Well, I'm going to focus on the people that are in private practice, us, that deal with people. When you deal with people, you have to do something that optometrists tend to cringe at, and that's sell. Okay? I don't care if you're selling glasses, you're selling a treatment. If you can't get someone to believe in what you're selling, they're not going to buy it. They're not going to do their glaucoma treatment. They're not going to get an IPL treatment. They're not going to do the drops you told them to take to help cure or heal the corneal ulcer. How many times do you have a patient that comes in that over the weekend went to urgent care, they got a med, and they just don't trust it, right? Like the doctor was only in there for a little bit, but he didn't even really look at my eye. Can you look at this? And yeah, they did everything right, but they didn't sell it, okay? Selling is not a dirty word. Selling is how you get people to believe in what you're doing, right? A coach sells his team. A trainer will sell their client on the benefits of exercise, right? Why they have to eat a certain way. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but you are invariably selling. All right? Sometimes it's for monetary purposes. Sometimes it's for clinical purposes. It's the same thing regardless. Put it any way you want, but you have to be able to sell. This brings me to the idea that made this podcast happen. And I was watching a clip about the Wolf. I think it was the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfair or something like that. And in the movie, I think there's this classic line where he holds up a pen and he says, "Sell me this pen," right? And he laughed and talked about it. And what he said, I thought was profound. And if you have a pen and you are testing out a salesman or anyone, and again, I'm going to do this with my staff at the next meeting, is we're going to sit down and talk about selling. I'm going to do the pen analogy. And if I say to someone, "Sell me this pen," two types of people. One is instantly going to go to trying to literally sell you the pen. Here, how much do you want to buy this pen for? This is the pen for you. Buy this pen, right? All they care about is moving the pen. It's the old analogy that gets tossed upon optometrists that, if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything's going to look like a nail. We want to give glasses to everyone, right? That's a knock on us, right? All we want to do is push glasses because, well, that's how we make money. Again, some optometrists may be like that. It is what it is. But if all you're trying to do is push your product, you are missing the point. And this is why you think selling is a dirty word. Because you don't believe in what you're doing. You're trying to meet an end. You're trying to get an outcome based on this device, this utensil, this product that you're selling. Right? The other camp will start asking, well, where have you bought your pens before? What kind of pen do you have now? What trouble have you had with the pens in the past? Right? You're not selling a product. You are trying to solve a problem for a person. You want to know their values, what their beliefs are, their past experiences, what they've tried, what they've failed with, what they've enjoyed, and you're going to offer a solution, if you have one, to make their life better. Right? This comes in all the time with me when I'm talking to my dry eye patients. The average dry eye patient has seen 4 doctors before they're in my chair. Right? In the past, they've been given a million things and either said, "Here, go, try it and get out of here." But when I talk to them and I ask them, what have you tried in the past? What are your biggest pain points? If I could wave a magic wand and fix one of your symptoms, what would it be? I now have engaged with them. I found out their pain points, what they're looking for, and we've set the standard. And now, when I know the one thing they want to get solved, I can cater my treatment and therapy to help them. And at the same time, it may be IPL all the way. It may be a prescription drop all the way. It may be Tyrvaya. It may be an amniotic membrane, right? When you read a case history, 9 out of 10 times, you already know what you're going to do before you walk into the exam room, right? But if you just come in and say, "I'm going to do this," does it work? No. You need to explain to them, this is your condition. This is the risk if we don't do anything. This is what I want to do, and this is why I want to do that. Based on your condition in this situation, this is the best option for you. You're now giving them a customized treatment plan. Yes, you have 5 things you can do, and you're going to pick from one of these 5 things, but if you're explaining your logic, explaining your reasoning, talking about your past experiences and how it applies to them, they're more receptive to it, right? When I talk to my staff, these things will come up when we're talking about how we schedule an appointment, how we explain glasses and optical. That's probably the biggest thing that I'm going to talk to my staff about is we need to meet them more than halfway. We need to come to them. If you're going into optical, if you're going into that situation and you're expecting them to come to you, you're selling a product. You're pushing a pencil on them, right? You want to solve their problem. Yeah, there's only a few lenses that we have. Yeah, there's a finite number of frames that we have in our office. But if you can express how the finite number of frames or the lenses that we have meet their needs, you're going to make them happier. You're going to do a better job of getting them to do what they need to better their lives, right? That's a very, very simple thing in theory. It's incredibly hard to do, especially when you're busy, when you're nervous, you're training, you're not experienced, or the patient doesn't want to hear anything from you, right? How many times do you go in and you have a patient, I had one today, who just, you can't wait to get them out of the exam room, right? They're not very receptive. When you're asking one or two, they're making noises, grunting. Like, I don't know what that means. One or two. None of them are clear. Okay, can you just pick one? Like, you have those patients. I always tell my staff, the patients that are always hard to please keep coming back to us because we cater to their needs. We listen to them. We solve their problems. That sets us apart. That makes us better. Even though they're difficult, we can still make them satisfied, happy, content, right? So selling is not a dirty word. It's how you communicate with people. And when you're in a people industry such as we are, you have to be able to communicate. I like using the dirty word sell. Call it what you will. You're doing the same thing. And getting that through our heads as optometrists will only make us better. It will make our practices better. Our staff will be better. Our patients will be happier. Don't worry about pushing your product. Find a way to connect with the patient and solve their problems. If you want to be successful, it's not complicated. It's just incredibly hard to do. That's what I have for you. We'll have more for you next week. Where has the time gone? We are to the closing thought of the episode. Embarrassment is the cost of entry. If you aren't willing to look like a foolish beginner, you'll never become a graceful master. This is my life. I fought this for so long. All I wanted to do was have respect, be the best, and have all the answers. 12, 13 years later, I have none of the answers, and I am not the best. But I am so much better than when I started because I've accepted that. I know there's a ton for me to learn, and I need to keep pushing the envelope. The growth that we've had over the past 2 years, the things that I've done is because I've accepted the fact that I am a foolish beginner. And that's the price of entry. I love that quote. I love that thought process. Embrace it. You do that and you will be successful. What you'll find though is success will be defined very differently than when you were that foolish beginner. The things that I measured myself by then don't even really come into my consideration now. The things I look at now that I judge if I'm successful or if I'm doing well are so different than the beginning, and it's awesome. Like some of the things I look at are do I get to show up to work every day and practice the way I want? Right? It wasn't a consideration before. Am I leading my team in such a way that they can grow and I can do less? Right? Before I wanted to do it all, and I would stunt my staff's growth because there's no way they could do it. Now I like to let them run and see what happens. Right? And the funny thing is, by doing that, I've realized that all the things I dwelled on, they may not be better, but they're not that much worse either. And the things that I focused on have grown exponentially because I am that much better at those things. And I'm focusing on clinical care. Right now, all the things we have going on in the office, if someone needed to be checked out, I have no idea how to do it. I don't think I could check a patient out in my office. I couldn't put in an order properly to give an itemized invoice. I think I could go into VSP or IMAT or whatever and order a pair of glasses, but I don't know now. I really don't. When I go to dispense, I'm sure I'm missing things if I ever have to do it, but it doesn't matter. One of the big things was I used to pick out all the frames. Now, I have delegated that to one of my other staff members, and I don't think she's doing any better than me, but she's not doing any worse either. And you know what I don't have to worry about? Frames. Awesome. So, accept that you'll be a foolish beginner, and hopefully, when this whole song and dance is done, I will be a graceful master. I'm not there yet, but I'm closer than I was yesterday. That's what I have for you. Dr. Lily out.